It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club. That intro is so...
Every
like
time.
Our Sasquatch is so bro-y.
It's awesome.
It's pretty great. Hi, I'm Michael McMillan. I'm your host, and with me always is your co-host, my co-host,
Bryce Johnson.
Hi, Bryce.
How's it going, Mike?
It's going well.
Good.
How is okay, so this is airing in mid-December, but for us, we just got done with Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was great. I don't normally eat a lot of meat, but I went ahead and had some fowl.
Okay.
Why not?
Little waterfowl?
Sure.
Was there any duck served?
No, just regular bird. But it was a conscious decision, so I think that's important.
Did you give thanks for anything this season?
Yeah, man, I'm really thankful for you, man, and this Bigfoot podcast.
Thanks, buddy. I feel the same way. You know what's so cool is that we are growing. This is what, our 5th episode, and we're like growing a little audience. So I want to thank everybody who's actually tuning in and downloading and listening to the show. It's really cool. I wanted to say a couple things up top, some club business. Real quick correction for last week when I was talking about my story, which was the Hopkinsville Goblin. The 37th parallel north is longitude, not latitude.
Gotcha.
I'm an idiot.
No.
I misunderstood.
Listen, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to be making mistakes like that all the time.
All the time.
We're just a couple of dudes up in the clubhouse.
Dumb. I am dumb.
No.
When it comes to math and geography, geography I'm okay with, but like math, especially anything that has numbers, I'm bad.
Capital of Montana.
Raleigh, North Dakota?
That's it exactly.
I don't know.
So you're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. And then I also want to give a big shout out, speaking of people listening to the show, I talked to Tyson from Maiden Voyage Clothing Company this weekend, the people who make the patches.
Yeah, so
cool. And he's so cool, he's letting us use his cool Protect Cryptid Wildlife patch on our album cover. So big shout out and a big thank you to Tyson. We're thankful for you.
Definitely.
And Maiden Voyage is not a sponsor, but honestly,
I
was on their Etsy page the other day, or their eBay page, I guess. And there's so much cool stuff. I'm going to start ordering. They have like really cool t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, I think throughout the length of this thing, we'll be shouting out a lot of cool places and Instagrams and stuff like that.
And then final bit of business before we get to our guest. I want to ask you guys to please send us emails with your stories. We haven't gotten any yet. The BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com. Bryce and I really want to do a listener files episode where we share your stories. So, and
that first one.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that they've got stories. So send them in, please. Keep them short, and we'll read them. You don't have to write a novel. A paragraph or two. Tell your story.
A bang in the night, whatever.
Great. Okay, awesome. Well, here we are. It's episode 5, and today we have a very fun guest. He's one of my best friends of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see him on Nobodies on TBS.
Ooh.
Correct? TV Land, sorry.
TV Land. Actually, it's coming. They've moved it to a new network called the Paramount.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So watch him on Nobodies. You can see him he's been a Groundlings company member for years, and he's done shows over there. You might see him there doing shows every now and then. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Kevin Kirkpatrick.
I made my own applause happen.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And this is our clubhouse ghost. Hi.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. How are you, buddy?
I am great. I'm
How
really
was
happy
your
to
Thanksgiving?
Be here.
You were in Florida.
I was in Florida for Thanksgiving, which is not... Florida doesn't feel very holiday-ish, but I guess neither does L.A. sometimes. But
especially when it's 95 degrees on Thanksgiving. No good. In Florida, did you happen to hear anything about the skunk ape?
Skunk ape?
Yeah, skunk ape. That's the Florida Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
He hangs out in the swamps, and he's stinky, so they call him skunk ape.
You know, the old story goes was there's this old lady who wrote a letter to the sheriff's department, and she, with a couple photographs.
I'm already in.
So
any story starting an old lady, Kevin's like, this is my kind of fiction.
No, yeah. And she was like, I have my grandkids over here, and I'm worried that this thing will hurt them. You need to do something about it. She sent in 3 photographs, and one of them, in the dark, one of them I mean, this thing looks like an orangutan. It is huge. She's like, it's 7 to 8 feet tall, and I'd really wish you guys would do something about it. And she signed it anonymous because she didn't want, but these pictures are still out there.
By the way, you don't sound very Florida.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and so that became known as, I think, is the Sarasota Sasquatch, the skunk ape. But it's great photographic evidence.
That's great. So you didn't see anything weird like that down there? What was the weirdest thing you saw in Florida?
I mean, I was attacked by one, but at the time, I wasn't really thinking, oh, this is the famous skunk ape. I was just like, this giant hairy creature has punched through my windshield and is dragging me into the woods.
How did you get away?
I didn't. I basically spent Thanksgiving with the skunk apes.
Sometimes you just have to submit to the captor.
That's right.
And can I tell you, they do their stuffing wrong.
That's amazing.
I use green pepper.
Yeah.
No,
you got to have
I like
cumin.
a cornbread dressing.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate the breadcrumb dressing that those goddamn skunk apes were serving me. Can I cuss on there?
Yes, of course, please. It says explicit on the label.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Kevin, we are so happy to have you today. Now, you are someone who is not necessarily a skeptic,
Right.
but you don't have any personal experiences with the paranormal.
I am forced into being a skeptic by a lack of experience and encounters.
Now, are you open to an encounter?
Yeah, I would say at this point, and I'm not just saying this to sound cute or whatever, which a lot of things I say are going to sound cute.
I was just thinking how adorable you are.
I know.
But I honestly have been open a long time and am now entering into some bitter territory.
Ooh, go on.
Because nothing happens.
So you're feeling rejected by the paranormal spectrum.
Yes.
I get that. What would you rather have happen to you? You want like a ghost incident, UFO, or...
I would like a mild encounter.
Sure.
Like a ghost cat brushes past your leg and you give him a little pat.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. I mean, most people I know have some kind of thing where like, and this man gave me a ride, and then when I turned around to thank him, he was gone. Like some angel.
Right.
Or that's a lot of those in Texas. A lot of people that I know have experienced angels.
You're from Texas.
Yes, I am from Texas.
What down there?
Which is filled with angels.
Right. They love it there.
What was your? Was there a local folklore in Texas? Was there something you would hear like Joplin, Missouri? I'm from Kansas City, and Joplin, Missouri had the spook light, which is like a glowing light that people would see, darting around in the forest and the fields, and people would go park their cars and watch this thing. Was there anything in Texas that you were like? Did you have your own Texas skunk ape, for example?
Not that I know of.
Any haunted houses in your neighborhood?
That's a gear shift, I guess.
Something, anything.
Come on.
There were some terrible haunted houses. Yeah, I don't. I think it's more probably of a rural thing in Texas. I bet and I'm not from a small town, but I bet if I had been, there'd be all kinds of like legends and weird things that I knew about. But I don't know. I don't know if the Lord being such a strong presence there sort of kept some of the spooky
evil
stuff
away.
at bay.
Right. No, it is.
Like I said, it's full of angels, though.
Right. No, it is very interesting.
People could see a large, hairy beast with fangs and be like, oh, this angel just was watching over me.
I think it had a halo, I believe.
Yeah.
I tell you, this angel was so sweet, but his cornbread stuffing was lacking this year.
I think belief does influence a lot of like what we see in local communities and local lore. I think it plays a big part anyway,
Yes. So I definitely agree. I mean, definitely where you come from shapes the mythology that you've grown up with, I think. Was there anything when you were a kid, Kevin, that scared you? Did you have recurring nightmares of anything? If you were like, oh, did you watch like alien movies and you were scared of aliens? Was there anything that captured your imagination?
I think not.
I love it.
I didn't.
Do you have
to be
any
honest,
imagination? Just be honest with us.
None. I had a tough time as a kid. I was busy with other things. I didn't have the Michael McMillan upbringing where all he had to do was just daydream about aliens and what if Bigfoot was in the woods just behind his house.
Right.
I was just trying to get enough food. No, I will say this makes me sound like I'm obsessed with religion, but I will say that I met the devil twice.
Why? Okay, see?
Start with that.
We're getting there. Let's
Does
talk
that
about
count
it.
as
Yes,
paranormal?
absolutely.
Okay.
Our very first episode, our origin story, talked about a devil that visited Bryce and stared at him through a window.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, with the horns. It looked like we found out it was
The Underwood Devil
Underwood
from
Devil.
Underwood Canned Ham, I think.
just like that tuna canned ham.
Yeah.
Which is a little funny to me, but
Yeah?
nonetheless, I saw it.
Looked like a mascot.
Right.
So what happened? See, everybody's got a story. Here we go.
Okay, you pulled one out, yeah. There's two, so which one do I start with?
Start at the beginning.
Okay, the first time that I saw the devil, I was walking home from a friend's house, let's say 6 blocks, and
And you're how old?
I'm probably 10.
Great.
And I'm walking home, and I would cut through side yards. In other words, instead of going to the street as a car would drive to get to my house, I just made the direct line, and I still had to cross like 6 streets, but I would just go, instead of using a street, I would just go between houses on every block.
Oh, yeah, you're cutting
Terrible
through the
mistake.
backyards.
Through the backyards, yeah.
Big mistake.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's where the devil lives.
I did that one time in my neighborhood when I was a kid, and I got attacked by a goose.
A goose.
They're notorious
What's
watchdogs.
supposed to have a better story than my story before
let's
I
hear
tell
Kevin's.
my story.
Yeah.
This would be so much funnier if it was a goose attack. So I'm walking, and I don't know. I had nothing on my mind. Just getting home. It's dusk.
Looking for that food.
Uh-huh. And I passed by an actual garage sale, which, you know, people say garage sale, but this one was actually happening in their garage. So their driveway was sort of littered with things for sale and inside the garage. And there was a line of people, like 3 or 4 people waiting to, I guess, pay for something. And the devil was in that line. What? And I know this because I'm walking. And I want to say all that because I couldn't have been less scared by the situation. There was no shadows. It was still mostly daylight, and it's a garage sale, and people lined up. And I just glanced over. 6 feet away from me is the line, and this one man who, funnily enough, looked like Jesus on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And he had long hair, which you didn't see in my neighborhood in the 80s in Texas. And he just, like, his head snapped.
Ooh.
And looked at me so quick and hard, like the hungriest creature, like caught the scent of a wounded animal. Like he just went, like, and maybe he was a pedophile. We don't know for sure, but
I think he's just a long-haired pedophile.
Right.
maybe. Well, hold on.
With head snapping action.
Hold on, because I dealt with my share of pedophilia when I was a kid. Like I had a guy try to give me a ride home in his Datsun, and I knew how to like get rid of those creeps.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know.
I want to go back to my earlier statement and say you never have to submit to your captor. Just run. Don't get in the Datsun.
I didn't get in the Datsun. I was weirdly, I had a few things like that as a kid where I knew, I was kind of wise, and I was like, that guy's a creep, and when he'd be like, I'll give you a ride, I'd be like, whatever. Like, I was really, so.
Did it make you feel kind of attractive, though?
A little bit. I did feel pretty the rest of that walk home when that Datsun peeled out in anger.
So head snapping Jesus.
So head snapping Jesus, but what I want to say is this didn't feel like another guy that wanted in my junk.
Right.
He looked at me and his eyes were so blue. They were as cold as hell.
Ooh.
And in my belief system, hell is freezing.
Yeah.
I like the heat.
No, totally.
So these icy cold eyes, and he just stared at me, expressionless. He just snapped his head, probably more than a normal head should turn.
Right.
And he snapped on me and just stared at me. And before my brain could even process thought, my body was already moving. I was running, and I sprinted with the craziest fear in my chest for like 6 straight blocks, just tore home and then tore into my house and just like was so rattled by just the calm, icy stare. And like I said, I had good instincts as a kid.
That's creepy.
That's very creepy.
So I think he was the devil.
Okay, then when did the devil come back?
Then he came back. Then
They had another garage sale.
Yeah.
yeah.
Kevin
Well,
threw his own garage sale
right.
to trap the devil
Well, I think
in an old violin.
whenever I would play it.
That's
The
amazing.
devil will grant me 3 wishes. Those blue eyes can't hide from me.
I think the devil figured out that if he were to appear in human form like that at a garage sale, I would easily outrun him. So the next appearance was when I was in bed, high school now. He cooled it for a while, and then he came back.
So on the
Came
cool
back in
down.
high school,
Sure.
and I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I'm laying there trying to go to sleep, and then I just felt this weird weight on me, like on my chest, like just I was like, oh God, this just so much. And then I felt something coming through my bedroom window, just like it just was a feeling this time, and it was like. And it was as though in the night, you know when you see heat waves like in the distance when you're driving on a desert highway? Well, like it was that somehow in the dark. I could just see the weird texture of the air. And I felt a weight on me. And I was like, just a terrible, horrible dread. Horrible, horrible, horrible feeling. And I thought, I have to get to, and I couldn't make a sound. And I thought, I have to get to my phone somehow. I thought and I couldn't move. I was so weighted down with whatever this horrible thing that was just pouring.
Sounds
My
like
bed was right by the
old
window.
hag syndrome thing.
Paralysis.
Is this a thing?
Yeah,
paralysis. This wavy, dark, almost like whatever the opposite of light is, shadow. I guess but like this wavy, dark essence was just coming in.
Ooh.
And paralyzed, laying there. And I thought my only chance is to get to my phone. And then I just felt this horrible dread. And then later I woke up. So I don't know, it was like it didn't feel like a dream because I was laying in bed and literally seamlessly entered a state where nothing had changed. So it didn't feel like snapping into a dream.
Well, you know, what you're describing.
but here's the finish. Here's the button on this.
The shadow had blue eyes.
Here's the button on this. When I kind of came to, either snapped out of the devil attack or dream, whatever you want to call it, I looked down and off my bed on the floor was my phone, and it was off the hook.
Weird.
So I had, I think, gotten to my phone.
Whoa,
somehow.
weird.
Maybe a little loss of time there, or loss of. That's crazy.
It was
That
something
sounds
weird. And I had a
like-
million nightmares as a kid, and I used to, but this one was one I'll just never forget that feeling.
That's the old hag thing they talk about, like a succubus. In Greek mythology, it's a demon that comes and sits on your chest when you're asleep, and it sucks
Like a
out.
cat.
Yeah, like a cat,
Yeah.
and sucks out your life force.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so
That's
that
it.
was a succubus.
But
also,
Bryce,
sleep
yes,
paralysis.
He couldn't get it. He couldn't
Right.
get all my life force. I had
No.
too much of it.
Yeah. I could tell about that about you.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's an amazing story. I can't believe you forgot all those.
You have been hanging out with the devil because you're a liar, dude. You said you had no stories, and you had 2 awesome ones.
All right. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back,
I
Bryce
hope I make it. Will I be back after this?
we might
Yes.
cut you.
Okay,
You might be
see.
bounced from the show. We don't put up with liars in our clubhouse.
Wait, your podcast started with you admitting to your previous episodes being riddled with mistakes.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, it's true. But when we come back, we're going to have Bryce's high strangeness topic of the week.
Awesome.
And we're back, Bigfoot Collectors Club. We had to jump back into the session because Bryce just started going off on something.
Well, I was just
We had to get this on record.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, you know, those who have experience with lucid dreaming, and I have some mild experience, but some of the most experienced users to get into their lucid dream state, it's sort of like the fast version, but the most difficult, is to lay down on your back and just to, wide awake, is just to go into the sleep state consciously. And it takes a while, but to get to that, what you have to do is experience the mind-altering effect of something crushing your chest, and often people experience demons or goblins or aliens within the room. So if you can get past that, then you can move into the lucid experience where you're awake in a dream state, and then you can control your dreams. But to get there, that hard state is a lot of that that compression upon the chest and a nauseousness, and then there's often a sensation of something entering the room.
And you called it a what? An aeronaut?
So the term for a lucid dreamer is an oneironaut, someone who explores their
oneironaut.
dreams.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
You've
had a
have you
con.
ever been
not in training?
Yes. Have you ever been awake in a dream, or have you ever experienced a lucid dream?
I don't know. What does that mean?
Like you can control what happens in the dream.
A lucid dream is when you are aware that you're dreaming, and you can alter or change your environment or bring into your dream whatever you so wish without waking up.
I've been aware that I'm dreaming before, but I never take full control over the dream.
That's fun when you do.
Yeah.
Problem I had was I just kept trying to like sleep with hot celebrities. So I was like, I gotta quit. I'm not getting anywhere.
I always anytime I'm aware that I'm dreaming now, I just automatically wake up. Like it wakes me up. And so I used to have a little lucid dreaming capability when I was a kid, but
it's a fascinating subject because you can really explore alternate dimensions or really whatever topic you so choose,
And now we know you're a pervert, so this is great. Okay, so Bryce,
yes,
it's high strangeness time.
Yes,
and you brought us a story.
I did
today,
and I'm so excited about it. So this is oh my God, those are old notes. Oh geez. I'm going into my bag.
So, Kevin, what we do for every week is we have a topic of high strangeness where we share a story from paranormal history. And so we'll listen to Bryce, and then we'll chime in here and there as we see fit. And then after this segment,
I feel like I'm going to chime in a lot.
Yeah, you
go for it.
And
then once he's done with the story, we'll all talk about what we think's going on here.
Okay.
So this is an amazing incident, one of my favorites. And this is known as the Dyatlov Pass incident, and it takes place in Russia, deep in the Ural Mountains. So now, on or about February 2nd, 1959, 9 Russian college students, 7 men, 2 women, they hiked up the icy slopes of the Ural Mountains in the heart of Russia, but they never came out alive. To this day, it remains one of Russia's most talked about unsolved mysteries. Investigators have been never able to give a definitive answer as to who or what caused this, bizarre crime scene. The only official answer they ever gave on the report was an unknown compelling force. That's what they came up with. Some say it was an avalanche. Some say it was the local Mansi tribe, the indigenous tribe, which they were later exonerated, by the way. Infrasound, military testing, paradoxical undressing, blah, blah, blah. No one knows, except for those people who were there and who perished through it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So about 55 years later, an American explorer named Mike Lebecki, now he's no slouch, right? He's like a 2013 National Geographic Adventure of the Year recipient. He decides to reinvestigate this mystery, and he did it with Discovery Channel. They put out an amazing program. What he uncovers is pretty terrifying. Based on some diary accounts and some forensic evidence and a photograph taken by one of the hikers the day before they died, it sends chills up my spine, and it begs the question, did they capture their killer on camera? And you be the judge, Kevin, because this photo is just the icing on the Yeti cake, and I'll post it online. Here's what we know. 9 Russian...
Wait, do I get to see the photo?
Oh, yeah, you want to see it now?
Well, you said you be the judge, Kevin, and then you just motored on past that moment.
I know. I do that.
Don't make me a judge. And
before we go on, I have a question already.
Sure.
So there was... These hikers disappeared, or there was a crime scene where they found their bodies?
They were found. All their bodies were found.
Because I think I've heard this story before.
Yeah, all their bodies were found.
And they were like massacred.
Well, I'll get there. Okay. Yeah. Here's what we know.
I just want to know what the cops saw when they came to the scene.
I do too.
Yeah, well,
if you're trying to get me to solve this crime, I'm going to need to know.
No, it'll never be solved because, it's one of those things now where it's so put in time and place in history that no amount of unearthing any new thing will bring light on this, but it remains a mystery.
How old were the victims?
They were in their 20s. They were college students at a technical college right there.
So a bunch of drunk college students wandered up into the icy mountains.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're all wondering why they didn't come back.
No, it's true. And you know what? And the local tribesmen there, they call it the Mountain of the Dead. So who goes with their buddies? Hey guys, let's go hike up to the Mountain of the Dead, and
Wait, was this guy from Florida?
Oh, he might have been a Russian Floridan. Here's what we know. 9 Russian experienced hikers, right? They plan a trip of a lifetime. So after they make camp on a clearing near the top, something would cause them to leave the sanctity of their tent. Now, this is where it starts to get really strange. The investigators that, came upon the scene, they found slash marks that were made inside the tent. and they were all peering out at the forest. So it really looked like they were like peekouts. Now, what happened after that, nobody knows, because they all left the sanctity of their tent. One guy, premises a stove went wrong and blah, blah, blah. But they all left half unclothed and not in a hurry. So I imagine, like, in a single line, like, we have to get out of here. Something scared them out of that tent. And from there, they're pretty much doomed. Or are they? They found 2 hikers half clothed. They had made a little fire amongst the tree line.
Male or female?
2 guys. And then,
Great.
I know. So, so they found them. They figured they died of hypothermia. And then they found a few other bodies, like 3 were laying towards the fire, the investigators. Once the investigators came on the scene, it was like, pretty crazy. Locals also reported seeing strange orange orbs that night. And later they would also investigate, there was a big Russian military presence there. Some guy went on camera saying that they were testing a 2-stage rocket. Now, one of the hiker's photographs, one of his last photographs is, and I'll show you these pictures now, but here's a photograph of the...
Wait, will you say you be the judge, Kevin, before you show me the photograph?
Kevin, you be the judge. Okay. Now, is that a strange orange orb, or is that possibly a 2-stage rocket? And this was taken by one of the hikers.
That's
we're
weird.
going to throw this up on our Facebook page. But we're looking at a photo of a blurry light.
Yeah, it's pretty nondescriptive. But what I want to show you now is this photo, one of the last photos taken the day before they died.
And that was on their camera?
And this is on their camera.
Both of them.
And I just want to show you that.
I mean,
now,
ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, now, if you look at... I'm going to pass you this, but now in Russia, it's known as the mink. Look at the arms on that thing.
Can we all just agree on one name for this?
Right.
I feel like we would have found him if we could have just all been calling him one thing.
Sorry, Kevin, not everybody can be Garage Sale Devil.
Yeah, so...
It's a Garage Sale Devil Jesus.
Look how creepy that is. And that's just, they took that on their camera. And they wrote in their journal in large print.
This is definitely a photo of what looks to be a Yeti in snowy woods.
Yeah, and this
clear.
is not a doctored photograph. There's a Dyatlov Foundation in Russia where the negatives are held in a safe, and Mike Lebecki took the negatives out of this safe, and boom, there it was, uncut, is that photo. And also on their diaries, one of the students had recorded in large print, "Now we know the snowman exists." Were they joking? Were they being followed? I don't want to paint
snowman.
I know. Well, that's what they referred to it as the snowman up there. Now, in the local Mansi tribe, they had been telling countless tales of the Menzi or the Yeti, and how it had a fondness for deer, and especially soft tissues like the tongues and the eyes. And on one of the Russian hikers, a woman named Ludmila, she was one of the last 4 found. They found 4 of them 2 months later, buried in a snow cave.
The campers.
Yeah, 4 of the hikers. Yeah, with extreme, almost weird injuries, all internal. Like the coroner said, it was almost as if a car crash, or according to Russian cryptozoologist Mikhail Trakengertz, it looked as if someone had hugged them so tightly. Gosh, where was I going? It's so crazy that.
I think I heard a theory about this that involves some weird sound frequency.
Yeah, some guy
there was
wrote
some kind of weapon that may have.
Yeah, in the infrasound theory, some guy wrote a book and he says, there was that pass had created a tunnel, but listen, and created like a paranoia within them, causing them to undress.
Like the way the wind blew through the tunnel created this low-level frequency.
Mike, the girl hiker Ludmila, she was found with her tongue missing and her eyes out.
That is so.
And so every other theory, the avalanche theory, the infrasound, the military testing, none of it explains for that. And especially the big injuries. Now, I don't want to paint Yeti as a bad guy, right? Like I'm here to say,
Yeti got to eat.
Yeti got to eat, right?
Yeti got to eat. Plus, this is Yeti's backyard.
Well, that's right.
And these are a bunch of drunk college kids.
Yeah,
and like
they're
I said,
hot.
in the Patterson.
In my version,
they're very hot. Igor Dyatlov, he was the leader, 23.
Can I say something about Russians?
Yes,
they have beautiful skin.
Yeah, beautiful skin.
Yeah.
Imagine that in the white, snowy Alps of the Russia.
Mm-hmm. This also reminds me of when we talked about Patterson Gimlin in episode 1. That we had the theory, or they had the theory, that the Sasquatch in that video was a mother protecting her young.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also possible that this was like, if there was in fact a Yeti, they could have been protecting their space.
No one knows, Mike, and it gets very strange too because the Russians out there, they had started basically a foundation looking for this thing right about a year before. They called it the Snowman Expedition. It was militarily funded, and even there was one other survivor. There's actually 10 members of this group. The guy got sick and he went back early. His name was Yuri. He's probably thanking God, but he remembers looking back at his friends, when they at their belongings, and they found a Russian military boot anklet there. So some people say that the Russians got there before the actual investigative team did. And that they, because they had known about this, they were looking to capture a possible Yeti and, explore it for, who knows? Who knows what happened up there? But this is what we do know. That picture is real. That doesn't look like a hiker to me. And, when you look up, go to YouTube and just look up like Menk, Russian Yeti, Amasti. You will find some video and some photos. They creep you out, man. And it's very strange.
Is there an animal that would have eaten her tongue and eyes out?
Well, that's sure, but there were
Sorry to be the skeptic.
no. But in the guy's book, I believe his name is Donnie. He alludes to there was no animal tracks found around, so it really kind of eliminated the fox ripping out someone's tongue. I not only did I mention, but they did find some 16-inch foot tracks not too far from this incident.
That's important for the case that Kevin's trying to put together.
Right. Well, they found, Yeti tracks, not fox tracks, so. But so it's a very strange story, and
the Dyatlov incident?
Dyatlov, his name was Igor Dyatlov. He was a 23-year-old Russian. Yeah.
Okay, so that's they named it after one of the hikers.
Yeah, they named it after the hiker that passed. And it's still known to the locals as the Mountain of the Dead,
Ooh.
But yeah.
That is terrifying. The eyes and the tongue, like the horror of it, like is really disturbing.
Yeah, and who knows?
And we also should acknowledge that there were real victims here. This isn't just
real,
a paranormal encounter.
No, this isn't a paranormal story. This is flesh and blood here.
Jeez.
And listen, I bring it up because I don't know what happened, and everybody that new Yeti information is pretty crazy, but I don't want to I like to think outside the box and be like, obviously those two hikers, he didn't kill them. They had started a fire. They had managed to get wood high up from a tree. Hypothermia got them. 3 other bodies were laying face toward the camp. No real injuries to sustain. So maybe Yeti's just out there letting shit go down nature-wise, and who knows?
I don't know. Well, you know what? We're going to come back in just a second from this break, and we're going to ask ourselves, what the hell was that? Welcome back. That story is scary. And now I want to ask Kevin, you've had some time to put together the evidence. You've heard this tale. And Kevin, what the hell was that?
Yeah, it's seeming like a Yeti. But why do we only get these little random grainy, put a number on the Yeti population for me so I can understand why we're not seeing them very often.
Well, so
what is your belief?
Some experts think there's around 15,000 worldwide.
And are they, because they're not tiny.
No.
Are they nocturnal?
Yeah, they're nocturnal animals. Some evidence suggests they have lookouts throughout the day, and they're mostly active during night. And the ones that we do catch on camera,
because there are animals sometimes that there have been animals photographed that, not Yetis, but just a species of wild cat or something this is the first time one's ever been recorded.
Yeah,
that's right.
What's the word when something is evasive?
Elusive.
Elusive. There are elusive animals out there that we now know exist, so what's to say there's not?
This is the argument we've already made on this podcast.
Yeah,
no, they're discovering new species all the time. But, like a former guest, Paul Tompkins said, yeah, but they're not Bigfoot. He's got a great point. Yes, we're discovering new species all the time, but why is that one so elusive when it's obviously the biggest?
Yeah.
Here's what I would offer as the to play the garage sale devil Jesus advocate.
Of course.
This photo of the Yeti.
Right.
Okay. What is stopping this being from being some large Russian dude in like a full body snowsuit who's hanging out in the woods, maybe a hermit.
Sure.
I mean, they didn't find any cabins out there, I guess, and decides to just go slaughter these campers.
The last 4 hikers had injuries, internal injuries, almost like their ribs had been crushed internally, either through pressure or through...
Have you seen a photo of Putin shirtless?
Yes.
That man could bear hug you to death.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying, I'm trying to come up with, it's an unconventional way to murder a group of hikers and to leave witnesses. It sounds like that something scared them and that they ended up splitting off into groups and getting lost after the attack.
Yeah.
And that's where the other 2 incredibly good-looking male campers were found by their fire.
Yeah.
So I bet
they had to have sex with each other to stay
they
warm.
would have had to. If you think about it, they would have had to stay warm.
Now that you're saying
doesn't make it gay.
Michael, now that you're saying this, I'm looking at this photograph and now I'm seeing it could be like a hulking dude in some kind of a ski mask.
I'm thinking big full body snowsuit.
Yeah.
Who is following these kids.
I mean, I don't know.
Like Siberian Jason.
Listen.
No, you know what's weird about that though is there's something about the arms. Well, he's got one withered arm, which is interesting and might make him more dangerous.
It's that other long arm, though, grabbing around that tree.
It's the injured animal that's the most dangerous, they say.
Right. He could have been injured, right?
But something about that arm.
Look at that belly on that guy, too.
I know.
Oof.
I mean, that's the thing. We can get back into the costume thing, but when you look at like...
Oh, I don't think this is like a costume. I think this could be someone just prepared for the weather to do his murdering.
Right. That's
I gotta get on my snowsuit, get out there, and start slaughtering some hikers.
You do a great Russian accent.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah.
We have one accent on this show.
I know. It's really true. But it's universal.
Oh, well, that is scary. That's really creepy.
Yeah.
And sorry, I know we have a lot of visual aids for a podcast, but if you go to our Instagram page and our Facebook page, we will have it. And we're going to get a website up.
Yeah, and look them up yourself. I mean, this is just look up Russian Mank, and this photo will pop up, and and you be the judge.
Ugh. All right,
you be the judge.
Kevin, any final last words? We're gonna come back for a final segment, but is there any final thoughts you want to share about what you've just heard?
Well, I think we should focus on the 2 that got away and the fact that they had enough sense to get away from that animal and get up to higher ground, build a fire, get naked, use body heat to warm each other. And that's, to me, the story, because those are the heroes.
That's where the real story is.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Great. All right. Well,
I mean, they did die. They failed.
But in their arms, maybe.
Yeah.
But they found something. They learned a lot about life right before.
Mm-hmm.
They found out that Yetis exist, and they found out that a man could love another man.
That was the invention of homosexuality. Oh. What year was that?
59.
Could be.
It's about when it started, right?
I was not a homosexual prior to 59.
Yeah.
So I don't think it existed.
It's a pretty damning date.
All right. We will be right back. Okay, we're back. It's Bigfoot Collectors Club, and this is the part of the show where we talk about collecting things.
Fun.
Kevin, now we're friends, and I know that you. I think, right?
Before this, we were totally friends.
Yeah. So I know I have known you to collect a few things in your adult life, but also one of my favorite things about you is that you had a very, from what I understand, an extensive Matchbox car collection when you were a kid.
I did.
Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Well, I brought them all here, as everybody can see.
More visuals.
More visual.
They're all here. Every one of them.
I wish you guys could see this because they're levitating, which is also adding to the show. I had a huge, huge collection of Matchbox cars. And I don't know, back then, and back then I mean the 70s and 80s, it seemed like, in my memory, when you went to any store sold them, and certainly a toy store, had thousands of them on racks, and they were they were real cars. They weren't like race cars. They were like real.
They weren't like
any real car that existed had its Matchbox doppelganger.
Whereas Hot Wheels was more like imaginary cool cars with like this one's a skeleton.
And
this
today, whenever they still catch my eye in the store.
This is what I wanted to get to.
But they're always like a purple hot rod with like flames on the side, and it doesn't even look like any. You don't even know what car that is.
You're very good at identifying cars.
In real life, I am, and it's because of my Matchbox collection.
And would you play with them?
Yes.
Or would you just collect them?
Tell me if this sounds like I was playing with them. I would lock myself in my bedroom.
Dang.
I had a built-in, so I had a counter that ran the length of the room, and I would create all kinds of little just piles of things and all that to make a little city on that counter, and I would just wheel these cars around, and each one, different ones were collected in family groupings, and like this is where their house, and he goes to work here, and the shelf also provided. It was sort of I think of it as like what's that show that just came out that was Skarsgård and all the wonderful women. I say Skarsgård first because you knew him from True Blood.
Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. It was that kind of community because it had cliffs from the drop off. So
they're like in Monterey.
Yeah, they were in Monterey, and I would run these cars on basic errands and be thrilled by it. Like I didn't have tracks, and every now and then someone would try to buy me like loops and tracks, and I would just like they would collect dust in the corner.
No,
because I was busy running these women around.
Mrs. Reynolds
was in Monterey.
Had run out of shampoo, and had to go down to
and
the
there were some
local
dark
Walgreens.
Stories too, and like some cheating.
Any bodies in the trunks of those cars?
Oh God, I don't know if I ever did that. That would have been great. Well, I did. I got a pair of pliers from my dad. And I would twist the fuck out of these cars to where they looked like they had rolled down a cliff, an embankment.
Wait, what?
And when I had duplicates, like if I had, I've got 2 of these white Chevy Cavaliers. Well, one of them would instantly get mutilated so that I could do the thing where she's driving. A lot of women characters.
Right.
She's driving.
Strong female heroine.
I was telling strong female-driven stories way before Hollywood got on board. And the car there, it went down the cliff, and then I would just sleight of hand switch the beaten up one.
The horror.
Homemade special effects.
But I was obsessed, but I really did love that they were real cars. Like you could get just every normal little car. Like, it's a Nissan 280ZX.
I brought the wrong toy because I finally found the Matchbox equivalent of the old car that I used to have. It was a late modeled 63 Chevy Nova Deuce, and they finally came out with one, and I grabbed them both. But I love those too, man. Those cars are the best.
Kevin, it sounds like your childhood bedroom was a very magical place.
It was
between that and shadow phantoms coming in to crush you in your sleep.
Yeah, I think so.
You got a lot on your plate.
And then my brother collected all which Michael can speak to this, and I'm wondering if you can too, the Star Wars stuff and the figures and all that. And I would also take the duplicates we had on those and take a cigarette lighter and melt their face off.
Oh, yeah. I did the magnifying glass, like carve out their guts or something with a
so that it looks like they'd been shot with a laser.
Totally.
My favorite thing to do was when we'd play G.I. Joes, and then there were these figures called Cops that were not very popular, but I loved them.
Yeah.
Wait, that was a line of...
They were cybernetic cops in the future, and they were like 6-inch G.I. Joe. They were by Hasbro, I think, and they had all the like
they were not futuristic at all, and it was just like a bunch of middle-aged Kansas police officers.
This is Roscoe.
Sounds like they'd fit right in your little
Fred.
Monterey County where all the women are suddenly out of every item in their household.
I'll tell you. With all my female characters, those cops could have rolled in and gotten some poon, let me just tell you.
So we used to take Crayola.
Misogynistic.
It's fine. We understand. It's okay. It's safe. Guys, we're idiots. We're just joking around here.
Exactly.
We would get the Crayola marker and we'd draw like blood on their faces, like they'd be bleeding out of their nose and eyes, and it would wipe right off. So that was like our favorite thing to do.
Good. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, Bryce, did you bring something to share today?
I did. I wish I would have brought that car, but I didn't. Hold on. Here's a cool toy. Have you ever seen these mini mates?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the movie The Predator?
I don't know many mates.
I do know.
Can I take it?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I brought that one because last week I told a story about the Skinwalker. Kevin, there's a demon in Utah that cloaks itself just like the Predator. And
oh yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. You have to explain to me. What do you mean? I don't know if I've ever seen The Predator.
You've never seen the Predator?
It's
I don't
called
think I have.
Predator,
It
guys.
stands
it's not
up
the
as
Predator.
Right. It's one of the greatest sci-fi
That
movies
sounds like
of all
the
time.
dumbest movie. The Predator.
The
I'm
Predator.
gonna start remaking movies. The Alien.
Right.
The Predator.
Right. It's like the Facebook.
See,
They
in
just get rid of the.
going back to Texas, we probably call all of that y'all seen the aliens?
Y'all seen the aliens?
Hey, have you heard about
I saw the Star Wars.
Yeah,
Let me
I
just
heard
tell
about
you.
the Star Wars going on up
Right.
there. They got laser swords and shit.
How about the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh, I love the Indiana Jones.
Now, did Empire Strikes Back? Was that The Empire Strikes Back? or
The Empire Strikes
Yeah,
Back.
it was.
So in Texas,
Yes.
that would be the
The-
Empire Strikes
Well, the
Right.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Mini-mates are like little Lego. They're almost like little Lego guys. They're
Yeah.
kind of blocky little figures. Those
cool.
I don't
They're
have any of
cool.
those, but they're cool.
Yeah. You know.
Oh, I love it.
But
Should've
these
brought
are
the
not
car.
put out by Lego.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they look like them.
I think they're diamond.
You got to see
select.
that movie, Kevin.
Okay, what happens in it?
Oh.
I mean,
There's
give me
lots.
give me the teaser.
There's
Okay.
a lot of homoerotic
Yes.
tension in that film.
I'm in.
So a group of ex-military kind of men, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, they get hired to go defeat this band of rebels out in the maybe, let's say, Vietnamese forests.
I think it's in Panama.
Sure, let's use Panama. And so they go out there, but only they're not finding the rebel forces. They're finding something else in the woods.
Much like the
You be the judge.
the story you
I
told.
bet it's one of those big snakes.
It's actually a lot like the story you told today.
Yeah.
What's that movie with the big snake?
Anaconda.
The Anaconda.
The
The Anaconda.
Great.
It really does.
But do you
kill
ever get a
every
glimpse
movie.
of the thing that's in the woods?
The Predator? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you get a big
Oh, yeah,
old.
when
So
it-
it's not just one of
look
those where it's just rustles
No,
of
so
leaves and then
here's what
a
I
dead
love
body.
about the Predator. It's an alien from another planet that comes here to hunt because Earth has some of the best hunting grounds.
So he
Oh
just
my
comes
God,
and
it's
hunts humans.
It's like those rich dentists that go to Africa.
Yeah,
and
like
Yes.
like the
lions.
Trump boys.
and
Yes.
we don't know what his day job is on his home planet.
No,
and
could be a
he's
dentist.
got
could
some
be.
very big teeth.
Right. Yeah.
So he clearly takes care of himself.
Right.
Before we wrap up, Kevin, is there anything you want to plug?
Well, nobody's.
We're
very
in
excited.
mid-December right now.
Yes. Okay. Oh, so this is gonna come out mid-December.
This is like the second week in December right now.
Well, hey, catch the. I think for the last. To the listeners, there might be one weekend left. I think of this holiday Groundlings show that I think I'll be participating.
Oh, great.
in.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Friday and Saturday nights. It's all. It's just runs for a month, and it's all. And I'm an alumni, and they let the alumni do that show. And Jim Rash is doing it with me. He's another alumni. And
The Christmas
and
shows
some-
are always fun.
They're fun. It's all sketches that have a holiday theme.
Great.
And then Nobodies is not coming out till I think next summer.
Well, that's
but,
okay.
But, that'll
But
be
you
on
can
the
check out
Paramount
You're in
Network.
season 1, correct? If
Season
Nobodies?
1. Binge season 1.
Do it.
Yeah.
Binge
Yeah.
it. Bryce.
Yes.
Anything to plug?
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club. And like Mike said earlier, send us any kind of story that you may have. We'd be happy to read it and maybe even tell it on one of our podcasts.
Yeah, BigfootCollectorsClub at gmail.com. You can find me at McMills on Instagram and Twitter. Also, make sure that you're watching, getting caught up. I think we're in a mid-season hiatus right now, but Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, when it comes back in January, I'll be in it a bunch. I'm really excited about the episodes. This season is really, really good, so please watch that. Before we go, I want to thank Riley Bray, our sound engineer, and I just want to give a big shout out and a huge thanks to Lotuspool Records and the band Suneaters for our music from the song "Come Alone." And until next time, I'm Michael.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Kevin.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
So goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.